As it pertains, though, to children, that disparity, I think, will be by far the most significant. Children who do not have a good home, who do not have two parents, right? They're in the foster care system, right? They're property of the state, or they're a single parent home. And who are we kidding if it's single parent? 9 out of 10 times it's a single mom. The dad is incarcerated or abandoned them or whatever it might be. But children who do not have a Christian two-parent, God-fearing home with rules, where the parents provide structure and there's a moral rule book for being a child raised in that home. Those children already suffer, and we've seen that exponentially increase. People suffering more and more and more and more as there's been more fatherlessness. And a big part of that is because of welfare, incentivizing women not to marry the father of their children, right? The state saying, we'll be your children's daddy, we'll be your baby daddy. Please don't marry that man. Please don't get this job. Please don't do that. Like incentivizing apathy, incentivizing the breakdown of households and family and all these things. I think that what we'll see, and then you see the degradation that comes about as the result of just media and social media and TikTok and all this garbage and TV and streaming devices. And then the fact that, 10-year-olds have an iPhone, and are laying in bed at night with a smartphone with the whole internet available to them on TikTok. And just because they don't have good parents. So yeah, so in that sense, I have concern. I have another friend of mine that I've talked to, and he's not an artist like the person that I just mentioned earlier as an example, but he's a teacher. And a lot of what he's sensing with this, right? And this guy, he's incredibly brilliant and a very, very brilliant individual. And I agree with him on pretty much everything he said. He's saying, I see all the positive potential. And I think in the long run, it will be potential. But immediately, right now, here and now, a lot of what I'm feeling is a sense of concern and even grief. Because my vocation, I'm a father and I'm a teacher. And I know how students will abuse this, especially students that don't have good Christian parents, that don't have guidelines in their home, that are allowed access to TV and laptops and smartphones and all these kinds of things. And so I think that public schools will get worse. Public schools, they're going to try. The state's going to put in all its regulations and this and that, but public schools will fare the very worst in regards to being able to actually police students cheating using narrow AI in unethical ways, to where they're use it to write their essay and use it to write this paper and all this. And so what will happen is that children in bad homes with bad parents, especially children in single parent homes without a father, it's going to make them even dumber. That despair, it's going to be bad. I'll tell you right now, it's going to be bad. Children in good homes with a father and a mother who keep their wedding vows, who don't commit adultery, who don't divorce, and who are seeking to raise their children in the fear and admonition of the Lord, who don't pawn their kids off on the state, don't use public schools, put them in a Christian classical school or homeschool them with good curriculum, and don't allow the student to have their child to have a smartphone until they're 18 years old. And all those kinds of things, those children will be better. And you might say, well, you just said they're not going to let them use this. Yeah, they'll be better in the sense that they'll get the same kind of education that they've gotten before. But then eventually, when they do reach adulthood, they'll be ready to use this kind of technology, and they'll have brilliant minds and be able to use that kind of tool, this technology. It's just a tool to achieve far more than they would otherwise. And so I think even at the level of children, you're going to see greater disparities. So all that being said, my prediction, next 3 to 5 years, but especially the next decade, next 10 years, Christians will be slow on the uptake because you're going to have a lot of dispensational Christians saying it's the mark of the beast. And once again, all that will amount to is pagans using a certain tool that God has provided in His sovereignty and providence for us them using a tool before the Christians use the tool, and then therefore them perverting the tool and trying to get a monopoly on the tool and making the tool, building into the fabric and hardwiring of the tool, an anti-Christian rubric, a presupposition and allegiance against Christ into the tool. So then we have to build our own tool, and we do it 10 years after we should have been doing it. And so I think you'll have that. And that's a bummer. And then at the adult level, for Christians who do embrace it and other people, I think you're just going to see not a leveling of the playing field, not a narrowing of disparities, but actually a widening of disparities, because now you're not going to be impeded by how fast my hand can draw or how fast I can write, but it's going to be just people's minds. And there will be massive disparities using the same technology, massive disparities. Even right now, some people can get results out of ChatGPT, results that are exponentially better than other people can get out of ChatGPT. They're using the same thing, and yet somebody's getting the ideas, just the idea of what they're going to use it for and how they're going to use it and what prompts they're going to give it. And all that comes down to, at the end of the day, is the one thing that AI will never have, which is the mind. It's a computer. It doesn't think. It searches, it predicts, and it does it incredibly. It's impressive. It's amazing. But it's just searching and predicting. That's what it's doing. It must have human interaction. It's not replacing people. People are made in the image of God, and God has not put into the fabric of his physical cosmos the materials necessary for us to make people. God is the only one who can make people. And despite how many times we try or how we lie to ourselves, we're never going to be able to create conscious, sentient beings. And so people will always be needed. People are irreplaceable. They are. People are irreplaceable. And within these irreplaceable, image-bearing, people that God has created, he also has put into that framework hierarchy. Diversity. Differences. Some people are more gifted than other people, and that will continue. And I think technology, if anything, it just reveals that even more, not less. And then lastly, again, with children, I think that's where we'll see the disparity most significantly of all. And for children in bad homes that aren't seeking to raise their children in the fear and admonition of the Lord, that have loose morals, that are utilizing public schools and single-parent homes, and that allow their children to have smartphones and devices at a young age, at 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. Man, I truly grieve over that. It makes me sad. I think it's already bad, and it's just going to be worse. But for children who their parents are seeking to protect them and guard them with good fathers in the home, they're going to train their children in the fear and admonition of the Lord. They're not going to use state schools. They're not going to give their kids a smartphone in their pocket. They're going to be faithful in raising their children, training their children, teaching them the arts and all these different things. Those children will do just as well as they always have, if not even better, because when they're done being formed and shaped and trained in childhood, and they're ready to enter into adulthood and vocation, all those things, they'll have more tools available to them to take that mind that's been shaped by their father and mother in a proper education and proper discipleship. They'll be able to take that mind that's superior to their contemporaries, those who were raised in non-Christian homes. They'll be able to take that superior mind shaped by the Word of God, which is the one true superior worldview, and then just maximize and multiply exponentially all the potential in that good God-fearing mind with tools.